What's going on, my friends? Hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good week. As always, I want to talk about today the second wave lockdown that they're doing in this country. You see major cities starting to shut down, even Arizona did, and I saw today Los Angeles is closing restaurants, wineries, movie theaters, zoos, I guess the zoo, Zoovid-19, no, I'm just kidding, but museums, card rooms, and it looks like they're pushing for a second closure. We're going to talk about it, why it's happening, why a lot of people don't agree with it, why some do. Then we'll also talk about what I call clown world, which is unfortunately the society we live in. You have the Los Angeles police defunding their police. You have New York City defunding their police by the tune of $1 billion, according to some reports. You have San Francisco canceling mugshots. They're not going to show mugshots to protect from racial stigma. And we also have record gun sales. Who would have known? As major cities are defunding and disbanding the police, who would have thought that gun sales would have went up? Except for Piers Morgan. He seems very upset about it. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't live here. So it's, he doesn't have much say with how many sales happen. But I have a good show for you today, and hopefully you enjoy it. We'll try to stay calm, have some fun in the midst of this craziness, and hopefully everybody's prepared. God bless you guys. God bless your family. That's what it's about. Shiom said, Anomaly, I'm watching from Seattle. What's up, Seattle? Hold on one second. I just want to pin. Let me just, actually, I'm not going to pin it because I like to see your comments, but as everyone knows, that's my email list, stayintouchwithme.com. It's the best email list ever, blah, 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 blah. Someone says, shouldn't we be the last to get a second wave? We're going to talk about it. I don't want to ruin it yet. But if you guys, listen, this is not a corporate sponsor. I'm not being paid to do this. In fact, I'm not even really a huge fan of this water. But a lot of times on here, people come on and they try to say, Anomaly, you're not smart. You don't know what you're talking about. So I drink smart water and, just to prove the haters that I'm very intelligent. All right, that was a really dumb joke. This water is pretty cheap, but whatever. Sorry, my jokes will get better as we go on, guys. I apologize. Is this thing on? All right, never mind. We'll try again later. Let's see, we got Joe. He said, Wild Wild West coming to a city near you soon. It's going to get crazy, but it's all good. I'm ready. Someone said, have you seen the Telegraph report that some UK biz have started distancing themselves from Black Lives Matter? I did see that report in the Telegraph just a couple minutes ago. Yeah, a lot of people are distancing themselves from Black Lives Matter. They're claiming the movement's been co-opted. And, the story, regardless if it's Black Lives Matter, a lot of these activist groups, the story stays the same. It's going to destroy the people who work with it because it's not a movement based on content of character. It's not a movement based on upward thinking. It's not a movement based on building a functional society that actually makes sense. If you're going to take down American ideology, if you're going to take down the Western ideology, if you're going to take down, what Greek and Roman philosophers had conjured up for, hundreds of years of intelligence, if you're going to take down these systems, and you got to be smart. And you got to really think it through. It can't be like an emotional, fit that you're throwing and you feel justified because of the color of your skin or whatever, your politics are better than other people's. So regardless of what these people think, I don't care if it's Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, CNN, NBC, ABC, this movement, that movement, the NBA, CBS. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter how they feel. These movements are eventually going to topple down on them because it's not merit-based. It's not based on reality. It's not based on, kindness and compassion and truth and justice and logic and reason. It's almost literally the opposite. So it's never surprising when people realize that. They're like, oh, wait, no, we got to cancel this because they're coming for us now. It's like, that was always the case. You guys just didn't figure it out quickly enough. But whatever, you hate to see it. Someone said, have you seen the mob going into restaurants yelling at people eating? It's nuts. I have to say this. I had a tweet the other day. I'm just going to repeat it, and then we're going to start. Listen, I love a good peaceful protest. I even like a good protest if you have a real plan with it. But if you're peacefully protesting, standing on the side of the street, all around the country, speaking your mind, getting on the news, that's a peaceful protest. If you're blocking traffic, that's actually a crime. In order to block traffic, I've done it before in a protest. We had a permit. It took a month to get the permit. We had a permit and we marched through the streets for water. And it felt good. I felt like a special guy. I was like, wow, I'm such a good person. I patted myself on the back. I felt like I saved the planet. I woke up and nothing changed. But, you have to get a permit. So if you're blocking traffic for one day, in my opinion, that's a crime. Actually, that just is. If you block traffic across the country multiple times throughout a month, after the government just shut down businesses for 3 months where people couldn't go anywhere, where there was curfews, where people couldn't open their businesses, and now they have to board them up or they can't get to work. You have teachers, maybe not because they're not teaching right now, but hospital workers, all sorts of, working class people trying to get to and from work, and you're blocking traffic multiple times a week in the same place all across the country, and that's domestic terrorism, in my opinion. It's an organized effort to shut society down after the federal government just shut society down for 3 or 4 months. So the fact that they're mobbing people in, restaurants, shooting people in Utah, someone needs to establish law and order, or else they're never going to stop. I think Trump is trying. Republicans are half trying, not really, but I'll tell you where it's not going to happen, in liberal areas. Unfortunately, that's just the truth. Let's get into the story. God bless you guys. I appreciate you for being here. I'm going to post it one more time because I'm selfish. No, I'm just kidding. But, my link's going to expire. So stayintouchwithme.com, the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. Sign up. If you don't, that's fine. I won't even really care, to be honest. I won't notice. I won't even know. So, don't sign up to stayintouchwithme.com. Anomaly never knows. So I read today, I guess, Los Angeles is shutting down restaurants, wineries, movie theaters, zoos, museums, card rooms in certain counties. You have Arizona shutting down. God knows where else is shutting down. Probably a large majority of the countries. States, counties, excuse me. I'm reading all sorts of stuff. I even read that Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, and a lot of the Orange County beaches, as well as Los Angeles beaches, they're shutting down beaches for July 4th. And this is the problem with big government, and this is the problem with this kindergarten nanny state that we've created, where every table you look at when you go out, it says, there's a big sticker on it, just so you feel like a kindergartner. You look at the sticker, it says, space, stay spaced. Big spaces, and you're like, thank you, mommy, thank you, daddy. Mommy and daddy government tells you to sit apart from me, as if you didn't know already, and that sticker is really going to solidify the deal. Maybe it will. I don't know. I'm tired of being treated like a child. However, I would be totally okay personally with the shutdown if it followed science. I've watched these people, such as the Lancet, miscalculate hydroxychloroquine. I've watched, I posted it earlier. You would think this is a parody. I mean, my question is, do these people really believe themselves? Like, listen, I understand if you don't like Trump. I understand if you're a liberal or a progressive or you believe in any sort of government. I get it. It's not a big deal. But does anybody know how to do their job anymore? Or have people just become unhinged psychos? This is in the Colorado Sun. It says, Black Lives Matter protests may have slowed down overall spread of coronavirus in Denver and other cities, a new study finds. So if you protest, you're spreading coronavirus. If you play tennis with 3 people, you're spreading coronavirus. If you have a funeral, you're spreading coronavirus. If you have an outdoor graduation party, you're spreading coronavirus. If you play basketball, you're spreading coronavirus. If you go to the beach, you're spreading coronavirus. If you open your business, you're spreading coronavirus. Even if it's outdoors, you're spreading coronavirus. But the Black Lives Matter protests, according to these very prestigious, honest, accurate people from the Colorado Sun, said even though we've, gone to every major city in groups of thousands upon tens of thousands, we protest Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Matter, we've done it all of our protests, you will bow. We think that we've slowed the overall spread. That's what our study found. We are slowing it, you're raising it, but we are slowing it because we're special boys and girls. Everything we do, this is who these people are ideologically and psychologically. If you did a study on these people, you would find they think their poop doesn't stink. They think everything they do is perfect because of their politics, gender, race, or just, philosophy in life, and that they can do no wrong. So when they march in the streets by tens of thousands, completely reverse what they just told you for 3 months. We don't spread coronavirus, is what our studies have found. This is who these people are. They're disgusting. I'm going to go down. Why do they feel that way? Let's read the article together. As protests against racism and police violence swept across the country, drawing massive crowds into the street amid a pandemic, public health officials worried about what the overall impact would be. Would these protests, which many health leaders said they support, also turn to be virus super spreading events? So they even say in there, they're like, no, the health leaders support us. You can go to these health leaders, they got blue check marks working for Johns Hopkins. They're like, according to my studies, systemic racism is more of a health threat than coronavirus. So it's okay when we spread coronavirus. This is how you know they're liars. They know they're spreading coronavirus, so they say, we know we're doing it, but systemic racism is a bigger problem than coronavirus, so it's okay that we do it because racism is a bigger problem. And then you're like, so you are doing it. They're like, wait, no, we're not doing it. They're both problems, but we're not it's like ridiculous. Let's keep reading. A new study, let's see what this genius, IQ must be 2,000, new study. I'm like, how long do I have to attend Harvard and Berkeley to get to this level of liberalism? Tell me how many PhDs I need to do to figure out how to do a study like this. I would love to see the numbers and the data. A new study by a nationwide research team that includes a University of Colorado Denver professor has found something surprising. The protest may have slowed the overall spread of the coronavirus in cities with large demonstrations, including Denver. Oh, wow. What a good study by a big, smart man. It must be hard for this guy to walk around the Colorado campus. It's like, yo, what's wrong? They're like, you poop your pants? He's like, no, my brain is just so big. I do studies that find that when I protest, coronavirus doesn't spread, but if you play tennis with 3 people, it does spread some. I apologize for being wobbly. I wish I had better stance, but my brain's just so big I can't stand up straight. Let's continue. We think what's going on is that people who are not going to protest are staying away, said Andrew Friedson, the CU Denver professor, who is one of the paper's co-authors. The overall effect for the entire city is more social distancing because people are avoiding the protests. So his big galaxy brain over here can't even walk straight because his brain's so big, figured out even though the biggest protests in our country by far this year, the biggest mass gatherings, not even close, they shut down festivals, they shut down conferences, the biggest mass gatherings of the year have been the Black Lives Matter protests, but galaxy brain over here thinks that because so many people are out in the streets, also so many people are staying inside, so it's not spreading the virus. Even though what he said is really not true, there are people gathered. It's not like when the gatherings aren't happening that people are hanging out in groups of like millions. Like that's not been happening. Whatever. He said it's nice to have some numbers. I'm going to go through the whole article. This is kind of fun. Friedson's specialty is economics, specifically the economics of healthcare. The field of COVID-19 research now contains a multitude of subspecialties. This is how they get you guys. They think you're so dumb. It's like they just use big words. And trust me, I have a good vocabulary. I'm a smart guy. I used to read a lot when I was younger. I can use big words too. I'm a special boy. When I rap, I can use 5-syllable words. I'm like, but it's like they're like, the COVID-19 research now contains a multitude of subspecialties, and we're so smart. No? And it has often been economists leading the way to understanding how people are changing their behaviors in responsible pandemic as the protests build. Friedson said he and his colleagues took note of the rising concerns of virus spread. He said they also realized they had the ability to answer that. All right, I'm done with this guy. This guy's such a smart boy. Somebody get him a Nobel Peace Prize. So they're trying to say that the Black Lives Matter protests actually stopped the spread of the virus. I mean, these people will never stop. They could have 1 million instances going on, like literally just crime and chaos, and they're like, I don't see anything. And then they punch themselves in the face, and they're like, Donald Trump just hit me in the face. I know this because I have a degree. They can't tell the truth. These people are clinically going bonkers. Here's ABC7 News. This is straight out the press in San Francisco. San Francisco police will stop releasing the mugshots of people who have been arrested unless they pose a threat to the public. as part of an effort to stop perpetuating racial stereotypes, the city's police chief announced today. So San Francisco will no longer be releasing mugshots I really don't understand how people don't realize this. First of all, they have everybody dressing like a bandit. If you walked around in a bandana, whether you were white, black, Hispanic, Asian, neither, people would be suspicious of you, rightfully so, because you're walking around with a bandana. That's what criminals do, or people who are trying to hide their face, either for religious reasons or because they don't want to be identified. They're forcing everybody to dress like bandits as they're justifying and ignoring crime, as they're releasing, in certain cases in California, pedophiles and child molesters out of prison. And then they're telling you, we're not going to release mugshots anymore, as if you could even identify mugshots because people are wearing covers over their face. We're going to stop because it's perpetuating racial stereotypes. So first of all, why would mugshots be perpetuating racial stereotypes? The reason would be is probably in San Francisco, it must be that certain people of certain ethnicities must be having a lot of mugshots, or else there would be no racial stereotype from it. If it was 99% white people committing crime, no one would see the mugshots and have a racial stereotype. However, if 50% of the crime or more or less is another ethnicity, then people are going to notice that pattern. It's not to blame everyone else, but I just find it interesting personally that they debunk themselves, or at least they just contradict themselves, where sometimes they'll say straight white males and right-wingers are committing all of the domestic terrorism. It's white people committing all the crimes. And I'm like, okay, let me look at the statistics. And then you look at statistics and it's like, yeah, white people commit crime. Every race commits crime, but in certain areas you have a smaller percentage of the population committing a high percentage of crimes. And they know that, so half the time they say, this isn't happening. And then they say, well, we don't want to show you the mugshots. You can't look at who's doing it. And then they say that it's because of systemic racism. So half the time they're saying it doesn't exist, it's not even real, and you're like, okay. And then the other half of the time they're justifying it with the past, which I understand. That's a reasonable argument that can have a debate with, but it's like, which one is it? Is it not happening? Is it happening? Is it happening because of it? They change their story every other day. It's like you can't solve any problems with these people because they don't have a real limit. And it goes back to COVID too, we'll get to it, but it's like, I could talk about systemic racism. I could talk about the past. I could talk about every horrible thing our country did. I could talk about inner cities and certain communities of certain racial ethnicities that are doing worse. And we could really hone in on it and figure out a way to get these people what they need to succeed. Whether it's a mindset, which is very key. Fathers and homes, which conservatives talk about and they yell at them. And also money. I'd even be okay with giving money to certain ethnicities if I knew it would actually solve the problem. I'm not saying I'm pro reparations, but I'm not against it. If it was a thing that actually worked and everybody could live peacefully, I would be for it. But these people have no sense of reality. So it's not a game of okay, let's do this, and make them thrive. It's like, we're just going to ignore all these problems. We're going to blame you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to disband police. The problems are just going to spiral out of control, and then they're going to blame you. They have no way of solving it. It's just absolutely Looney Tunes. On that note, this is straight out of Los Angeles. This guy's great. If you guys have Twitter, I would suggest following him if you're in the Los Angeles or California area. In my opinion, he's the best. He's the best independent. He's not independent, but he's the best local journalist, I think, in Los Angeles. His name is Bill Malugan. His ad is Bill Fox LA. He works for Local Fox, but he does what journalists are supposed to do. He just reports local stories, and he's always on the scene. Good guy. But he said, breaking. LA School Police Chief Todd Chamberlain has just announced his resignation to the department. So the LA School Police Chief has resigned because they decided to cut $25 million in school police funding and ordered all officers off campus and out of uniform for now. So their genius idea is to, I guess, kick or defund the police officers in school. Part of a larger defund bill. I think it was $100-something million. I'm not sure the exact amount. In, New York City. New York City Mayor de Blasio and the Democrats of City Council caved to the mob and cut $1 billion in police funding. So they're now cutting the police in New York City by $1 billion, and they're just not going to stop. I'm not a life coach or anything, but if you were to ask me for advice, I would say, leave any major liberal city. It's not going to go well. Everything they're doing is literally the opposite of what would function in a society. They don't judge people by content of character. They judge people solely by the skin color. They hate you if you disagree with them. They make excuses for the world's worst people. They have no plan and no solution to help people in the inner cities where people use police. They're trying to get rid of them, the good families, black, Hispanic, Asian, white, whatever, that actually don't hate police, law enforcement, because they're not doing anything wrong. Now, they're not going to have access to it. It's only going to support criminals. It's only going to make things worse. It's completely obvious. And all these people have their own private security. Most of them have private security gates and hire people to do their security for them. So they're just taking away taxpayer security. You pay all these huge taxes in liberal areas. You're supposed to get roads. Look at the roads in Los Angeles. Could they possibly be worse? They got $1 billion for homelessness. Homelessness is getting worse. People hate statistics. I'm just going to give you a statistic. I'm going to premise it with, there's no excuse for police incompetence. There's no excuse for corrupt police officers. I've seen them in my life, so has everybody. I am making zero excuses for corrupt police, none. However, in Los Angeles County, an average of 3 people die a day. Over 1,000 people died last year, according to reports. In Los Angeles County alone, homelessness, that's around 3 homeless people a day. You could say 10 people died. I mean, according to reports last year, around 10 people died. Black people died from unarmed, from a police attack, 10. So that means in LA County alone, in 4 days, you're going to have more homeless people die than police officers kill unarmed black Americans all year in every single county and state. That's just a fact. They don't care about this stuff. The whole city, they take your tax money, they get rid of the police, they're not paving the roads, they're not getting rid of homelessness, they're not helping businesses. Everything's boarded up because everybody's afraid to get looted. People are getting robbed left and right. If you're in a big city, protect yourself, or leave if you can. If you have, I'm not trying to, if you're from a city, born and raised, and you want to fight to keep it, do that. But if, you don't have loyalty, like for me, I like certain cities, but I wasn't born and raised there. I'm out. I'm never going back. I mean, there's no way it's going to how is a city going to get better when they're doing everything wrong? Before COVID-19, they're raising taxes on businesses. You could find articles that say California already had an exodus of businesses. It's already happened before that. You already had boarded up places because people can't afford the rent and it's not profitable to be there. And then you do COVID-19, and then you do extended lockdowns, and then you have riots, and then you have looting, and then you have, idiotic mayors and governors passing laws in Congress that makes it easier to steal money and easier to do stuff, and you penalize people like the St. Louis couple who actually try to defend themselves, and then they go on CNN and Chris Cuomo tries to make them look like a bad person even though they're Democrat lawyers. It's disgusting. These people are not only not going to help you, they're doing everything in their power to destroy their own city. It's going to turn out like Sodom and Gomorrah if it hasn't already. I'm not trying to fearmonger, I'm just saying. On that note, the Piers Morgan, the insufferable, British news host who 60% of the time he's on point, 40% of the time he's a snowflake, he tries to make America like UK. Sorry, bro, we had Brexit in the 1700s. I don't know if you read a history book. You might not even know about it, Piers, because, they're tearing down every statue of George Washington, of this person, that person. So you might even not know history. But in the 1700s, I believe it was 1776. I'm not quite sure, but I believe we actually broke away from the UK, so we don't really care about what you want to do about gun control, but I appreciate your perspective, not really. He said, breaking. Just when you thought the news couldn't get more depressing, 8.3 million guns have been sold in the United States since March, meaning 2020 is on course to be the biggest gun sales in American history. I have the top comment, or one of them. I said, breaking, zoomed in on a photo of Piers. Here, I'll show you. Look, I said, let me see. Breaking. See, breaking, zoomed in on a photo of Piers, and then I have that little crying clown. Oh, you can't see, but it's got a lot of engagement. I'm crushing on Twitter, like all social media, but little crying clown. But in general, it's like, let's use our galaxy brain, Piers. why might gun sales be up? I'm not Mr. Gun Fanatic over here, I'm not a big hunter, although I probably should figure out how to hunt now that you're destroying society. It would be helpful. I might need to go hunt deer or, something again, eat squirrels or something, because you guys are destroying grocery stores. But anyway, let's use our big brains, Piers Morgan. You got a big head, so I assume you got a big brain in there. Why might gun sales be at record highs in America? Well, let's see, Piers. Well, the government just forced millions of people to stay at home, quarantine them, wouldn't let them travel, made them stay in their house for 14 days, wouldn't let them go to business, wouldn't let them, go anywhere, had a curfew, made them stay inside, made it so, supermarkets were like this Orwellian thing where you have to walk one way and wear masks. So maybe that had something to do with it, Piers. And then you had the biggest riots since maybe 1992, maybe bigger, in every major city where they started burning stuff and looting stuff. And corporate news, like who you work for, Piers, didn't want to really report on it accurately, and they just acted like it wasn't even really happening, and, it was all good, and, praise be to them. And, you had major celebrities who get probably millions of dollars from corporate places that you work for, Piers, started bailing them out of jail. So now they're defunding the police and disbanding the police and leaving us pretty much helpless and blaming us for trying to protect our own house. So maybe, just maybe, Piers, maybe that's why gun sales are going up. I don't know, Piers. I'm not as smart as you. They don't pay me $2 million to lie to the people of Great Britain, but maybe you can figure it out, because I certainly can't. But that's just my guess, is since society pretty much broke down, the police are all but getting run out of major cities, and there's no one there to protect us, so we want to protect ourselves. Maybe that has something to do with it, Piers, but keep your tweets going, man. I mean, it's so depressing that there's so many gun sales in America. I mean, we should just get rid of them and have little batons like the UK police. That does well when there's machete attacks. They're like, well, I have this baton, and then they just get beaten up. But whatever, whatever floats your boat, big guy. In that note, the cases are up in the United States. I have a few questions for them for multiple reasons, and I want to stick to the facts because not having the facts is never a good idea. So I have a few questions with how they're counting, and there's a reason I have some questions, is because this is right on the CDC website, cdc.gov. They're talking about the antibody test, which people are testing now to figure out if they had coronavirus at a certain point, COVID-19. It's called an antibody test. Right on the website, it says if you test positive, a positive test result shows you may have antibodies from an infection with the virus that causes COVID-19. However, there is a chance a positive result means that you have antibodies from an infection with a virus from the same family of viruses called coronaviruses, such as the common cold. This is straight on the CDC website. The common cold is caused by a coronavirus, and they're telling you even if you test positive for an antibody test, which means you had it at some point, that it may pick up a false positive. There's multiple reports written about this in Forbes, false positive, false negatives. How accurate are the tests? Obviously, the nose swab, the one that goes back in your throat, is probably more accurate than the cheap ones that just test something else. I don't know, I'm not a scientist or an expert, but because the CDC, who are the experts, are telling me on their website that their antibody tests may have false positives for common cold, how accurate are these? Because I look at the death rate, the cases are skyrocketing, and the death rate is actually plummeting. I'm going to read the last. This is how bad it was in April. I'm going to just read a few days in April. You had 1,981 deaths, 2,749, 2,409, 2,402, 1992, 2,000. There's a lot of death going on there in April. And now here's June. I'm going to read the past week. 336, 432, 800, 800, 758, 700, 500, in the 300s, in the 800s, in the 600s, in the 285, and then yesterday 764. So the deaths aren't correlating right now with the cases, and maybe that'll change in the future, but I have a question with how they're counting, like any rational person. Elon Musk talked about it, but every time Elon tweets about it, they call him a liar. They hate to be questioned, but we know how you're counting the deaths. All I have to do is find, if you hadn't heard it already, I'll find Illinois health. They're counting anybody with COVID-19 that dies, they're saying died from COVID-19, which is massive because here, I'm going to play it real quick. I've played it in a few other ones. If they did that for other contagious situations, knowing that these things were not causing it, it's going to inflate the numbers massively. I mean, here's the public health director of Illinois, Dr. Ngozi.
Age groups die. I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis. So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So
she said, even if you clearly died of an alternate cause, but you had COVID, they're listing it as a COVID death. Dr. Burke said they have a very liberal approach to counting. Dr. Burke, she'd tie a little scarf around her neck like Dora the Explorer and tell you in the coldest voice possible. No disrespect, it's just kind of funny. But even if you died of a clear alternate cause, they're still listing it as COVID-19. Combine it with the fact that the antibody test may be picking up the common cold. Where are they going with this, guys? The deaths are down, which is fantastic, but they keep moving the goalposts. At first, they told us, we can't stop the spread. We can only slow the spread. We don't want to overwhelm hospitals. We got past that. Now, they moved on to, we want to wait till the vaccine. And you're like, well, that's going to take a while. And then Trump said he's going to rush the vaccine. And it's like, do you really want to rush a vaccine? Shouldn't you have a few years of trial? Whatever. When does this end? People think this is just going to end at a certain point, and I said it a month ago. It's never going to end until you figure out how they're testing and how they're counting. If you don't know how they're testing and how they're counting, it's only going to end if coronavirus disappears. It might possibly do that, but if you look at the common cold has been around since I was born, and it's still there, and it affects tens of millions of people every year in this country, and according to my knowledge, it doesn't seem to be going away, even with herd immunity. So the common cold has gone nowhere. So why would COVID-19, if it's similar to the coronavirus that causes the common cold, why would SARS-CoV-2 or whatever, or COVID-19, whatever form you call it, why is it going to magically, what if it doesn't go away? Are we just going to count cases all the time? Just count? Do we count other things like this? I know people say it's not an infectious disease, but if we're talking about saving lives, how many people die from diabetes, heart disease, obesity, unhealthy products, opioid abuse, alcohol death? All these things kill hundreds of thousands of people a year. If we counted them on the television every day, it would seem crazy because there's 2 to 3 million people die every year in the United States. 2 to 3 million people divided by 365, that's a lot of people dying every day. So if we're going to count things all the time, it's never going to go away. The flu's been here since 1942. I'm not a fan of the flu. I don't think anybody is. Nobody thinks it's fake. The flu's real, but it hasn't gone away. One of the first flu vaccines was either earlier or, I always pick the year because I know it's one of the types of flu vaccines, came out in around 1942. Do the math, that's 70, 80 years around of flu vaccine. The flu is not gone. The flu is not even declined. You could look at the last 10 years. There's CNN reports from a few winters ago saying it was the worst flu season in modern history, in decades or whatever. So there is no correlation between flu vaccine and flu eradication, or flu and flu eradication. So why would COVID-19 go away? It might not go away. And the way we're obsessively counting it, we would probably, you see the flu go up and then it dies out in July and June. The fact that these cases are rapidly rising again, how are they counting? How obsessively are they counting? If they obsessively counted anything in this life, you could rack up millions of things. So they're trying to act like it's horrible for people who are fit and younger people, and it's really not. For instance, 285 people died from COVID-19 on June 28th, according to their records. 285 divided by 50 is, around 6 people in every state. I mean, between car accidents, any sort of disease, probably, like, that's a wildly low number on a scale of how we have 350 million people in this country. And out of that 285, they're admitting to you that anybody with COVID-19, they're saying died from COVID-19 out of that 285. So in that 285, how many people died directly from COVID-19 and how many people died with it? The average age, at least when I last checked, I don't know if it's still that way, was 84. A big chunk of the deaths are in nursing homes. Unfortunately, in nursing homes, many of them are on the deathbed. That's why they're in a nursing home. People die in nursing homes every year. It's not a good thing, but at a certain point in life, we're all going to die because we're really old. That's just what unfortunately happens. And then, praise be the Lord, your soul goes to heaven. And if you don't believe so, to each their own. But so anybody at a nursing home who gets COVID-19, they're saying they died from COVID-19. They could have had something that was older. They could have had a chronic illness, and they're just calling it all COVID-19 if they had COVID-19. Even car accidents. If you technically get in a car accident with COVID-19, they're listing it as COVID-19 if they test you. I mean, this is not my word. This is directly from the health chiefs and even Dr. Birx. That's how they're counting it. It's not like a joke. So this is the death rate is not massively, I mean, it's worse than it needs to be. Obviously, it's not great to have any sort of respiratory illness. It's not great to get, the flu. It's not great to get the cold. It's not great to get pneumonia. It's not good to get any disease or any illness or any virus. But at a certain point, what are they really trying to do? They nonstop spread fear all the time. Piers Morgan can't even stop spreading fear when it comes to gun sales. He's like, just more depressing news. Why do you want to make people depressed, Piers Morgan? Depression is not more depressing news. Is it really depressing? It's not. It's only depressing to you because you don't get it, but you don't want to make people depressed. That means you hate your life. And when you hate your life, you're stressed out and you have fear. And when you're stressed out and you have fear, you're destroying your body. You're destroying your immune system. You're weakening your immune system. It's on educational websites. It's a fact. So why are you weakening people's immune systems? What products do they sell on the news? All sorts of products that weaken your body. If they really care about lives, how many hundreds of thousands, and on a global scale, how many millions upon tens of millions of lives could they save if they really honed in on every medication, every food that they were selling? The peak hypocrisy is McDonald's. McDonald's, who sells awful food, is now turning their profile picture black, and they have, black trans activists saying, you're killing us, you're killing us. What bigger hypocrisy virtue signal could there be? McDonald's having somebody telling, you're killing us, when their company alone, with the products they sell, combined with all the other products that they sell, why is America very unhealthy? We're one of the richest nations in the world, if not the richest nation. Shouldn't we be the healthiest nation? We're not, because our culture feeds us bad products. Everything they sell us, from Coca-Cola to Pepsi to the lifestyle that they sell you when you watch football or you watch CNN or you watch Fox News, it's a lifestyle that will end you up with an avoidable situation of diabetes or heart disease or stroke. And then they just put you on pills because those are their main sponsors. And then you're just kind of on a bunch of pills, but you really need to work out. That's just the truth of anything. It's like, yes, some things you might need medication, but most of this stuff is avoidable. It's strictly diet, exercise, and lifestyle. They don't tell you that. They can save more lives with a mandatory. Everyone could go to work and they do a mandatory, everybody do, Donald Trump, Dictator Trump is on the news, and Dictator Fauci, and they could say, everybody stop. And then everybody does jumping jacks and runs around the thing. You think I'm joking? That would save more lives than what they're doing now. And they're destroying the economy, and they're destroying small businesses. And what they're really doing systemically, if you haven't noticed, is destroying physical businesses and funneling it all to digital businesses. So if you have a mom and pop shop, you're struggling. If you have a restaurant, you're struggling. If you have a bar, you're struggling, and they're constantly making you struggle. If you sell anything physically in the real world, you're struggling. They're funneling it all to the big tech companies digitally. This is a technocracy takeover. This is a digital takeover, whether they know they're doing it or not. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a fact. This was already happening to Macy's, to, Lord & Taylor's, to all the, they've already been losing sales over the last decade to Amazon and other online retailers. That's just what was happening. And they just sped it up like that. Just like all the social problems in our country, they sped it all up. So now you're getting it all at once. It's a tech takeover of the country, putting physical into digital. And now you have a new technology. I got an ad from Verizon where it was saying, 4G technology brought Uber, Lyft. Let me actually find it. Verizon. I'm gonna find it. Lyft, Uber. It was a targeted ad. I can't really find it, but it was basically saying, this brought you all these great technologies, and now we're rolling out our new one. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not even talking about the health aspects, so don't censor me. Leave me alone. And someone else could talk about that. But I'm just saying we're getting into a new technology in this country that's already operating in China with facial recognition. There's Forbes articles about it. There's documentaries about it. It's real. We're upping our technology. We went from Pong to N64 to PS2 to PS3 to Oculus Rift to virtual technology. And same with the phones. We went from, house phone to flip phone to cell phone to, computers in our hands to now, all this sort of technology. So we are experiencing a technical upgrade and a digital shift of how everything works as they're shutting everything down under the guise of saving lives. This is why I'm not a big government fan. 366 lives. You're going to shut down all of society, ruin millions of people, raise the stress and the fear of millions of people, which then lowers your immune system, and then feed these people these products. If you're really serious about saving lives, stop selling all that crud. Sell people real products. I just had a protein shake that was made out of like kale and broccoli. I'm not trying to brag. Clearly, I'm a hipster, but it was made from real products. It tasted a little weird, but it's actually healthy, and I'm going to eat something terrible later. But the point I'm making is, they could really crack down on what they're selling you, and they could really focus on making America healthier, but they're not doing that. They're defunding police, they're disbanding police, they're closing down beaches. Sunlight is one of the healthiest places you could be. The Department of Homeland and Security Technology Sector, Science and Technology Sector, proved that with a study combined with Johns Hopkins that said that with coronavirus and SPID or SARS-CoV-2, it's better to be in sunlight. It destroys in 60 seconds, according to them, or in that area. And being indoors is worse for you. And we've known that, and they know that. They use ultralight technology. They use it to clean products already. They know that light is a good thing when it comes to viruses. It's known. But they're closing down beaches and saying that protests for their candidates and their ideology is not spreading the virus because they have a doctorate or something. It's like these people are such liars. So overall, someone said, as I eat chocolate cake, Jennifer, enjoy your chocolate cake. Eat up. Just, go for a jog sometime this week or, just do some sit-ups or something. And I'm not saying you have to, but, I don't eat perfectly. I'm not like a saint. I eat pretty horribly a lot, but I also move around. I walk a lot. I work out a lot. So it works out for me. And as I get older, my metabolism gets worse and worse and worse. And just like other people, you get older and older, your immune system tends to get weaker and weaker. That's just the reality. So, it's just understand your body, understand yourself. I ate I had a milkshake last night and I regretted it. I don't really drink that many milkshakes. It tasted good going in, but then I'm just sitting with a stomach ache. I'm like, milk is just not really that good for you. But overall, I'm not acting like I'm better than everybody. I'm just saying, if they really wanted to save lives, they could really crack down on a lot of the products they sell. And just before I end, a lot of junk food is junk food, but there's ways to eat dessert. There's ways to eat things that are not the greatest, but they're not horrible for you. A lot of the products they sell are terrible. I'll give you an example. I just got chicken tenders. They gave me Heinz syrup. Or Heinz ketchup. If you look at Heinz ketchup, it has high fructose corn syrup in it. Most do. And some don't when it's the Heinz natural or whatever it's called. But there's no reason for high fructose corn syrup to be in ketchup. Ketchup is delicious, but it's better without high fructose corn. There's high fructose corn syrup in everything. It's like, just cut that stuff out and that's all they have to do. Just cut out all the crud. Even soda. It's like they could make soda from better ingredients. They don't have to use high fructose corn syrup. They put that stuff in everything. They put crappy products in everything, even in jelly and jam. They load it up with stuff. Jelly and jam taste good as it is. Fruit smoothies taste better than milkshakes. It's just like there's a way to eat bad but still eat decent. There's a way, they just like fill it with all these chemicals and weird products, and that's a huge problem with our health. But overall, that's it for today. The silver lining is we don't have to act surprised all the time. Sometimes you just watch certain people and every day they're like, oh my God, I can't believe they tear down the statues. I mean, you had the New York Times put out a smear piece against Mount Rushmore. They're coming for Mount Rushmore now in the New York Times, saying that it's such a horrible, it was built by terrible people. The plot is very obvious, so don't be scared. Be prepared. Don't buy into the fear. Just know that, it's near. So that's all. Don't get scared. Don't get stressed out. Just act accordingly. Protect yourself. If you're somewhere where you feel like it's declining, like myself, I wanted to get out of there. I didn't want to leave my people and city behind, but I've seen Los Angeles decline for the last 7 years, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and it's like almost traumatic. Like you're operating through a city that's just in a decline, a moral decline. You look at every billboard, it's degenerate, just the creepiest programming television shows. The whole city's just turning into like Gomorrah or Sodom. So, just act accordingly. You don't have to move, but just definitely protect yourself and figure out how to stay safe, because the major cities are just going to collapse on themselves, and they're going to have to learn the hard way. And maybe that comes from people in the city, taking it back via elections or, really standing up against the mob. I know Mayor Jenny of Seattle, I get them mixed up, of Seattle, she ended Chaz or Chop today, or tried to shut down the little experiment, because they started coming for her. And that's what's going to happen. They don't care how progressive you are. They don't care how much money you give them. They don't care how much you support their ideology. You're letting bad people and people that need to be told no, and spoiled people and degenerate people take over the city. And good people are leaving or hiding or standing up for themselves. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how progressive you are. It doesn't matter how lesbian you are. It doesn't matter how black or Hispanic you are. There's going to be a time when reality sinks in. I'm watching a lot of Hispanic activists post things about like crime happening and like, why aren't they helping Hispanics? And it's like, because your little world of intersectionality, Black Lives Matter, we all get along. It's all love. But your idea of like leftist activism doesn't work. The only way intersectionality works better when it's like right-wing people, just being honest, that actually want to stand up for themselves. Hispanics, black, Asian, white, love the country, love their family, love society, love God. Maybe they don't. And they just want to live in a peaceful society. That's the intersectionality that works. It's not this idea of protesting, burning stuff down, and then getting rid of the police, and then you realize crime happens on your own people, and then you freak out on Twitter, and you're like, where's Black Lives Matter to help the Hispanics? They don't care. They've never cared, guys. Black Lives Matter cares about when a white cop kills a black guy, or when a white person does something against a black person. They don't care about all black lives. They don't care about 89% of black murder. They don't care about 99% of black lives. They don't care about 100% of one of the top reasons that's destroying the black community, which is what I just talked about, that's destroying the white community. The products they sell us, and especially in the inner city, the access to better resources, which is going to save way more. They don't care about that. So why would they care about a Hispanic family that gets robbed? They never cared about you. It's not in the name. It's not in the agenda. The agenda is a far left Marxist agenda. It's to disband or disarm or, shut down or defund the police. It's to get progressive left-wing free education, which is government-run education system, and they want to destroy school choice, which means any private or side institutions that want to operate for younger kids, they don't want them to be there. They want there to be a singular, that's what their healthcare is. It's not universal, it's a singular government-run healthcare where you're not allowed to opt out. That's what I deal with in California. When I don't want to buy healthcare because it's a scam, I get charged. That's progressivism. It's just taking your money. And if you ever make money, if you ever work hard for 10 years, be broke, live in terrible apartments, if you bust your butt like I did for 7-8 years, I still don't have a car. I didn't have anything when I came to Los Angeles. I had 2 suitcases. I had no money in the bank account when I got there. I had no money for 3-4 years. I saved every dollar that I ever got, didn't go on vacation for 7 years, worked really hard. And when you finally hit like the next bracket, they're just stealing your money, guys. It's insane how much money they want to take from you. Luckily, if you work from home, there's tax write-offs and, you know, things that you could do. But it's like, you'll figure it out. Like Obama wants to tax 30, 40, 45%. You want to get, if you ever work hard and make it to that tax bracket, you want to give half your money to the federal government? You want to give millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands to the government? You want to give it to Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell? Of course you don't. Nancy Pelosi, who wants to give their money to the government? That's what progressivism is. That's what Black Lives Matter is. It's big government. It's giving your money, your rights, your freedom, your ability to go to a school you want, your ability to get a health care you want or opt out of health care, and not allowing it and giving the government power. It's a horrible ideology run by horrible people, which is why you get horrible results. God bless you, especially if you're in a big city. New York, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, they're all going spiraling until real leadership comes or until people stand up for themselves. Because this idea of like saying what you say, it doesn't translate to the real world. With no police, you don't have a utopia. You have lower and middle income people getting advantage. And it's happened all over, all over the city. When I was moving out of Los Angeles, my movers said, oh, I just worked with somebody from West Hollywood yesterday, and he had to move all his stuff out because he just got robbed. People are getting robbed left and right because it's easy to do, and in some cases, you have like immunity. You rob under $1,000 in certain situations, they'll give you a misdemeanor instead of a felony. They're letting prisoners out of prison. They're bailing people out. Guys, it's going to hell. Who really thinks that getting rid of the police or defunding them is going to create a utopia? And I don't even like cops. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. So you'll figure it out. God bless you guys. God bless your family. I'm going to answer some questions for a little while. And if you sign up for supporters only, I'm doing a supporters only live stream this week as promised. If you don't worry about it. I don't ask for anything except for, I don't know, sign up for my free email list. If you don't, that's fine too. I don't really care, but stayintouchwithme.com. And besides that, I appreciate you being here. Kelly said, where did you move to? I like to just, I don't really, I'll probably tell you eventually where I moved to, but I don't know. I like to just try to keep it peaceful because I'm at the point now, everywhere I go, people recognize me. I don't mind it. It's all love, but like literally everywhere I go, it's a beautiful thing, but like, anomaly. And it's nice because it's like, I appreciate it. People, it's love, and I love connecting with people. It's a great thing. I'm not complaining at all. I'm just saying, like, I don't like to announce where I am. Like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm there. Look where I am. Like, I'll see you when I see you. I like to operate on that level. Thank you, Australia. God bless you. Someone said, do you listen to Ben Shapiro? Not really. I don't want to get into that because people get mad. Everybody loves Ben here, so I don't want to get into that. He has his moments. There's pros and cons to everybody. So I'll say, Ben does some things well. My big problem with him and a lot of the conservatives, to be honest, I'll just say, if you listen to Tucker Carlson, I love Tucker. Tucker Carlson's segment from yesterday, if you could find it, brilliant monologue. I'm just going to go out and say, better than anything anybody in the GOP said, better than anything that anybody said, better than any Trump speech this year. I'm even going to say it. Tucker nailed it. That's the problem. And there's a lot of people in the conservative movement that, they don't practice what they preach, in the sense of a lot of them preach free speech, but they're not really free advocates. They're free speech until you disagree with them or say something edgy. Ben Shapiro gets banned all the time from college campuses because, I don't know, he has no filter when he talks about certain things. And I support Ben Shapiro to speak. He should speak like, you can't be a snowflake and say, I don't want to listen to Ben. So I support Ben for his free speech, but Ben does not return the favor. He constantly calls people anti-Semitic because anybody who questions his ethnicity and his religion is an anti-Semite. He thinks you can't talk about anything. So I think he does a lot of good work, but him and Charlie Kirk, they're very hypocritical with free speech, and it's going to bite them in the butt. And people like Tucker Carlson are really bringing it back. They tried to frame it last year as guys, we're fighting the anti-Semites out of their party, but it's not really what was happening. They were fighting a lot of people who were trying to bring up a lot of important issues to the Republican Party, a lot of things that the GOP just doesn't want to talk about. And you see it now this year, is the GOP are like snowflakes. I mean, they're bowing down to the mob. A lot of the GOP is, caving and capitulating to left wing. And a lot of us are trying to stop that. And they always misframe it. But you see, even, this is the silver lining. Lauren, her name was, in, I think Colorado won yesterday. Burgess Owens won. He's an ex-NFL player in Utah. Brilliant guy. He won. He's going to be a fighter. The GOP wants fighters. So Trump is endorsing all these old GOP guys who nobody likes. He keeps endorsing people and everybody votes for the new people. We want people who are going to fight. We don't want these phony rhino GOP neocon warhawk liars who just start a bunch of wars, lie to us half the time, don't do anything, capitulate to left-wing mob. We want fighters. So I think people are learning the hard way what we were trying to say last year, that a lot of people in the GOP, including a lot of media in GOP, are like, they say one thing and then do the other. They're pro-free speech, no snowflake, but then they capitulate and try to force people out of the party who want to bring the party to the right. And there's certain conversations that, regardless of who thinks it's hate speech, I don't believe in that word, but Ben Shapiro and Charlie say, no, hate speech, but then they think it's hate speech when you say too much stuff on the right wing. These things are going to happen whether they want them to happen or not. It's like the left wing. They don't have to listen to me, but Seattle is not going to thrive. Los Angeles is not going to thrive. There's a 0% chance of New York City thriving. You could hate me for saying it, but it's not going to work out. So eventually these conversations on the right wing and left wing, they're going to happen whether you want them to or not, because it's inevitable. The truth ages very well. The lie does not age well. It works short term, but the truth is going to fade through. So the truth is coming for the GOP, for the, these conversations that are edgy a lot of them are very on point, and that's why they try to stop them. So, you guys get it. Someone said, any chance of an AOC level socialist takes the White House? Of course there's a chance. I mean, look at the Democratic Party is flying left wing, similar to how I said the right wing is, getting better people. The left wing the progressives are beating a lot of the establishment Democrats. Nobody wants the establishment Democrats. Nobody wants the establishment Republicans. People want something new on the left and the right. So, someone said, advice, what can we do to protect ourselves from chaos? I don't want to give you life advice. I'm not like an advice person, but I'm just saying be prepared. I mean, you see the direction that people are going socially, politically, police-wise. I mean, just be ready for anything. Just be prepared and be smart about it. That's all you could do. Someone said Tucker brings on people he disagrees with. Yeah, Tucker Carlson broke news records. His news show broke all records of all time for news shows. People want the truth, especially in times of chaos. People are looking for something real. Tucker's crushing it. Check out Tucker Carlson's speech yesterday. Better than any speech that Trump's given all year, better than any speech the GOP will probably ever give. Tucker is crushing it. I'm going to read this. Brandon said, God bless you, Brandon. I'm going to read it. He said, I live in Seattle and have a business here. The city's going down. I wish I could move my business, but I can't because of my state laws. I may just shut it down. Brandon, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me know if you have an Instagram. Let me know on Instagram what type of business you have. I'll see if I can help in any way. Let me know on Instagram. If you have an Instagram, message me at DreamRare, DreamRare, and we'll see what we can do. Sorry to hear that, Brandon. God bless you and your business. Glenn said, be proactive with your safety. Absolutely. Cody said the establishment is what we need. The far left and the far right are idiots. Well, here's the thing. I'm not telling people to be far left or far right. I'm just saying the establishment is not as moderate as you think they are. I'm talking about the Nancy Pelosi and the Lindsey Graham types. They say what you want to say, but then they're off starting war in other country. They're displacing millions of people in Syria. They're killing leaders in Libya and creating slavery. That's all happening. So the establishment is not this moderate center that you think it is. They're some of the most radical people. They just disguise it very sneakily. One of the best things that President Trump did is he's just pretty honest and pretty straightforward. You've never seen that in politics. For instance, AOC is not the answer. Like you said, the far left, I believe they're not the bright either. But people are so sick of the lies. Why is AOC there? If you just blame AOC and the far left, you're never going to win. AOC is there because people know Nancy Pelosi is a liar and she's not doing anything and she's corrupt. So then people want something new. You have to create something better. You can't beat AOC by complaining about the far left. You can't beat Trump by complaining about the far right. You just have to give a better option. Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, these are not what people want. So it's not like far left, far right, and the establishment's going to save us. These are the same people who've been running this country into the ground, starting wars, selling us out to the pharmacy industry, all sorts of lobbyists for 30 years. These are not moderates by any means. These are sneaky, hacks. God bless you from Oklahoma, Becky. I appreciate you. Do you think the bounty on our men in Afghanistan is real and Trump knew? No, guys, this is the same story. You got to figure out how the New York Times and Washington Post operate. The New York Times and Washington Post clearly have an agenda, clearly don't like the president. They're connected with people in the intelligence community, if they're not working directly with the intelligence community, the CIA, the FBI. The people at the CIA and FBI, there's probably hundreds or thousands of them. A lot of them probably love Trump at the FBI and the CIA. A lot of them probably hate Trump at the FBI and the CIA. So every time they read the article, it's like a source at the CIA. All they have to do is get one person to say something. So what really happened? Someone told him it's another Russiagate, Ukrainegate. They're throwing the kitchen sink at Trump this year. Every single thing they could possibly throw at him. He's got a virus killing a bunch of people. He's got, he can't do rallies. Everything under the sun. They're just bringing the whole kitchen sink at him. So do I think it's real? Was Ukrainegate real? Was Russiagate real? It's just another gotcha moment from people who already don't like him. There's thousands of people who work for these agencies. All you have to do is get one of them to talk to the New York Times and you have a story on your hand, and they can use the power of the media to make people believe it's like this huge scandal. It's a nothing burger in my opinion, but to each their own. Someone said, what do you think about the governor of New York quarantining people for traveling to other states? Me personally, I'm not a fan of anything they're doing. I think they're blasting out fear to the children, to the elderly. Fear lowers your immune system. Your immune system is able to take on viruses if you're a healthy person. Most of the people who are dying are elderly. The next most affected group are obese people with comorbidities. The reason being is because if you're elderly, you're going to die quicker than someone that's young. And if you're obese and have multiple comorbidities, you're also at risk of dying from anything. That's how science works. So if you combine people that are obese, have comorbidities, and the elderly, it's a huge chunk of the COVID deaths. So I'm not for quarantining the healthy people. Quarantine the sick, quarantine the obese. If you're scared, stay home, and we could subsidize you. But shutting down society and quarantining everybody for a virus that's killing, between 200 and a couple thousand people a day, it just doesn't make sense to me, regardless of how high the numbers are. It's like you're going to shut down the fabric of society because it's not this, I'm sorry, it's just not this virus that's just ravaging healthy people. The flu sucks when you get it. I'm sure coronavirus sucks. It's probably terrible. I'm not saying it's not real or it's not bad, but there's multiple bad things in this planet. HIV is bad, but they don't stop having sex all the time. There's a lot of bad things in this world. They don't get to the core of any of them. They just say, so I disagree with everything they're doing. And if you look at the data, just to be quite honest, the most deaths occurred during the most stringent lockdowns. So I don't think lockdowns are really healthy. I think it's really unhealthy, and I could prove it with multiple science articles that locking people in their house, stopping them from going out, it's already a known fact that elderly people thrive in social situations. So taking social situations away from people, it's not healthy. So the deaths correlate with the lockdown, not the rise of the lockdown. And if more people start dying as they lock stuff down, the same thing's going to be true for this one. So we won't know because they won't allow it to open, but well, they did for a month, and the death numbers are relatively low. So I don't agree with how they're operating at all. I'm not saying the virus isn't real. I'm not saying it's not bad, but quarantining the world and shutting down society, just take care of yourself, be healthy, and most likely you'll be fine. Someone said, I'm going to read this comment. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Shane, for this super yellow star things. It says, Don said, I pray for you and others with a prominent voice. Use your encourage the others. Get out and vote in November. This election is no way in the bag. Exactly, Don. God bless you. I appreciate you. Someone said, did Dr. Fauci have... I can't say what Dr. Fauci did and didn't do. I mean, I'm not going to make a conspiracy theory, but I will say I did a video about it. It's got like 1.5 million views. It's true. It's in Newsweek. Dr. Fauci was funding coronavirus research in a lab in Wuhan. That's a fact. So he was funding gain-in-function research, which is manipulating viruses to create a virus that goes in humans. That's. I mean, look it up. Search Dr. Fauci, coronavirus, bats, Wuhan lab, and you could read all about it in Newsweek or other sources. I'm not saying he did it, but it's like, is that not suspicious? It's like if Trump is meddling with atomic bombs in Hawaii and then an atomic bomb goes off in Hawaii, is it a conspiracy theory to suggest that he did it? I mean, they don't want you to have common sense. They don't want you to ask questions, and they penalize and censor anybody who gets too close to the truth. All the people that are getting censored on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, these are not the world's worst people. These are not the biggest liars. These are some of the brightest people or some of the most outspoken people. Do I agree with everything they said? No. Do I think that they've never made a mistake? No. But I think if you compare a lot of the people getting censored on YouTube and Facebook, their accuracy rating compared to corporate news, I would say they're better than Fox and CNN, a lot of these people who are getting censored. I don't agree with everything, but I don't agree with everything that Fox or CNN says, but I don't ask for them to get kicked off of social media. They're just kicking off their competition. They're corporatizing everything. They're funneling everything to the top 4 corporations that they can control, and they're demonizing shit. Even if you're Elon Musk, you say something that they don't agree with, they're ready to destroy you. Someone said, do you cite your sources somewhere? Because a lot of people question these studies that prove that the strict lockdowns of no use. I have a whole video that's called, it says, are lockdowns healthy or something. If you scroll on my video page, I have a whole one about the lockdowns. The whole thing is sourced. The entire video is all sources, and I put them up on the screen so everybody can see them. So the live streams, I just kind of go with the flow. That's why I put them onto YouTube, and then I delete them usually after 24 hours. But I'm still wildly accurate, much more accurate than most news. I just don't have the sources to put up on the screen. But I do make, that's my bread and butter. I'm going to do it once I set up shop. I do make videos with sources. Just look for my video, Are the Lockdowns Healthy? I have 20 sources or 15 sources in that video, all scientific stuff. And a lot of it's really common sense. They try to act like they're so smart. Like, who's healthier, the guy who jogs every day or the guy who sits on his couch and gets fat? It's going to be the guy who jogs every day. Who's going to be healthy? The guy who has a schedule where he walks and goes to work every day, or the guy who just lays on his, bed all day? It's the guy who goes to work every day. Who's going to be more healthy? The person who has healthy social interactions throughout their, week, or the person who doesn't see anybody and quarantines in a house? It's that person. So this stuff is not wizardry. I mean, this is basic common sense. Of course, there's hundreds of studies to prove that true, but it's really simple wisdom that we've had for thousands of years. Like, there's a certain way to be healthy. It's eating better, working out, exercising, getting cardio. Genetics play a role, I'm sure, and also, your schedule and your routine, and then your mindset. How, that's all of this plays a role in how healthy you are. So they destroy your mindset. They make you filled with fear. That's the worst thing you could do to a person. Your mindset is arguably one of the most important aspects of health. It's called mental health. So do they promote mental health? No. You have Jordan Peterson. He's one of the most, famous clinical psychologists or whatever he is. He had a recent podcast. He finally did a podcast after a year to explain what happened. He was on his daughter Michaela Peterson's podcast. I listened to the whole thing today. Jordan Peterson took a bunch of pills. He took benzos. He was taking all sorts of pills, and he went into a steep depression, and then he took more pills. He's all screwed up, and he's still screwed up. And I feel bad for the guy, but it's like he's a clinical psychologist, and he didn't know pills could do that. He was like, I thought benzos were safe, and I didn't know that this could happen. It's like there's obviously pros to certain medication, but there's a lot of cons, and a lot of those cons, they tell you in the commercials when they sell the product, and it's probably in the silver lining, or the the little part where they tell the side. But it's like, yeah, that could happen. So are they really concerned with mental health in this country? I would say you could look at mental health and a lot of the over prescriptions of a lot of these pills. They're giving every kid Adderall. They say, he needs it. Maybe he's an artist. Maybe he's a musician. Maybe he's not ready for geology. Maybe that's not his strong point. Maybe this school sucks. Maybe the teacher's not good. Like, they just pump everybody with pills, and then people have huge, terrible effects because not everybody's supposed to take all these pills. Maybe you're depressed for this reason. Maybe you need this. Maybe you need sunlight. Maybe you need to exercise more. Did Jordan Peterson try exercise? It doesn't look like it. He went straight to benzos and pills and screwed his whole life up. So I'm not making fun of Jordan. God bless the guy and his family, but he told millions of people years ago, take pills as a last. He would always promote it and say it was a good idea, and then he got the negative effects, and now he knows, and now he's sharing a story, and hopefully people hear it and don't rush into these things because there's a consequence to it. The point I'm getting to is, how much do they really care about mental health in the media? How much do they really care about physical health in the media? Not at all. They don't care at all. They destroy and demonize anybody who gets to the core of the stuff, and they constantly promote any pill that pays them enough money, any product that pays them enough money. And if you think what I'm saying is a conspiracy theory, all you have to do is watch television. What else is in the commercial besides what I'm saying? They don't just sell pills. They don't just sell bad food. They don't just sell alcohol. They sell lawsuits for the product that they used to sell, whether it's the Johnson & Johnson product, or it's the glyphosate, or it's this product. All the stuff they said were conspiracies, now there's lawsuits that they're selling you. So if that pill was so amazing, how come there's a lawsuit in the commercial suing them for what they didn't tell you it would do? It's so obvious. They say, oh, no, Emily, it's not a theory, it's a fact. Those are in the commercials. Watch TV for 10 minutes, you'll probably see one. So it's like, it's only crazy if you just buy every nonsensical lie. These people in the media that own the big corporations don't care about anybody. They'll sell you any product, tell you it's amazing, smear anybody who talks about it, and then 10 years later, sell you the commercial for it. You know why? Because when they sold the pill for 10 years, they made millions of dollars off it. And when they sell the lawyer commercial to sue the pill, they make millions of dollars off the lawyer. And when they sell the unhealthy food, they make millions of dollars. And then the next commercial is the pill they sell you because you eat healthy, and then they make millions of dollars. And then they sell you to a lawyer to sue that company that they just sold you with the baby powder because they make millions of dollars. They're making money on all sides of it. It's like funding both sides of the war. Money on the pill, money on the lawyer, money on the food, money on the lawyer, money on the baby powder, money on the lawyer, money on the weed killer, money on the lawyer. They're making money on all sides of this stuff, guys. It's not a theory, it's a fact. So it's like only this crazy world that people live in. They're like, the cities are burning down, but it's a conspiracy to think that the news would... No, that's literally what they're doing. It's not even like my theory. It's a fact. Just watch the television. It's ridiculous. People like, we need the centrist. That's going to save it. No, it's not. The centrist, it's not center. They were just smoothly, radically horrible for so long. So you get Donald Trump and you get AOC because nobody wants the smoothly, radically horrible people. They're looking for someone else. But unfortunately, left-wing Marxist ideology is going to lead you to a horrible place. So they don't have any good leaders on the left because you're not allowed to be there if you're a good leader. If you're Elon Musk and you're an environmentalism who invents things and creates things, they're not going to like you. And if you're Joe Rogan and you make sense 70% of the time, when you're not wearing your other liberal mask and you're actually telling the truth, they don't like you. If you're, a nice liberal guy like, Terry Crews, and you like God and you want to treat everybody equally, they don't like you. So the reason AOC and none of them are going to be good leaders is because the whole ideology is trash. So the more you talk about the right, that's where you're going to find innovation and success. Not everybody on the right's good. There's radicals on the right. There's ignorant people in the center. But there's nothing for you, unfortunately, in left-wing ideology. The entire thing from top to bottom, politically, socially, economically, spiritually, it's all bottom of the barrel, like lowest form spiral. So there's a reason the far left is not good, but that doesn't mean Nancy Pelosi is good either. This is a good comment. Cinda said, Big Pharma's pissed at Trump because he wants to give them the cost of medicine. So this is something they don't tell you because the news does not spread good news or truth. They just spread fear and negativity about Trump. But Trump passed a bill or some sort of executive order. I don't know exactly what it is. I'd have to look. Trump passed something to make hospitals show you the price. You know how if you go to the hospital, they don't tell you, they lie about the price, and then you get a bill 2 months later and it's $3,000 and they told you it was $200 and they said they can't do anything about it? That's corruption, guys. That's government corruption. That's hospital corruption. Trump passed something to make hospitals show you the price of what they're giving you. This is one of the greatest bills recently. And you know what happened? They tried to take him to court, and he won in court last week. Did you hear anything about it? Probably not if it wasn't through me or someone else, a conservative, because they're not going to tell you. So Trump, yeah, of course Big Pharma doesn't like Trump. He's not only trying to lower the prices, but he's actually getting hospitals to show you the price, which is going to lower the price because they can't scam everybody by just giving you a bill that you didn't ask for. So yes, it's true. Trump is, in many ways, doing a lot more than anyone else. He's not perfect, but they are probably mad at that. And it's a good thing, but they don't talk about these things. It's nuts. Thank you, Drew. Someone said, Bailey said, when I gave birth on my bill, they charged me for a skin-to-skin contact when my son was first born. Yeah, it's insane. They should tell you what they're charging you for first, for sure. Someone said Trump took back the money system. Maybe. We'll see how that plays out. But someone said Judicial Watch has all the details. Judicial Watch crushes. They're very good. Ben said, I saw it was fought in court by Big Pharma. It was, but Trump won. Or the government won. Cinda said, thank you for putting out my statement. God bless you in America. Thank you, Cinda. No, it was a great statement. It's an interactive show here. I try to read dozens of comments every time. So, people get heard. Someone said a lot of people don't care because they don't pay their hospital bills anyway. Candace, thank you for being a supporter. Susie, thank you for being a sharer. When I was in the hospital, my doctor brought me medicine so I didn't have to pay hospital charges. That was nice. Someone said, how many are in debt for medical stuff? A lot of people are in debt for medical stuff. So I understand that's what Bernie uses as a reason to do Medicare for all. I get the concept of it, but it's just giving government that much control. The medical industry is really corrupt. Trump said he's going to work on it in his second term. He said he's going to work on health care. We'll see if he actually does. Someone said, is taking back the money system means switching from a federal bank? We didn't switch. I mean, there's a theory that Trump did something during the coronavirus to take back the money supply, but it's debatable. I mean, he did do something that puts him in a position to do more, but I don't know if he's really going to change the money system. It's like, has to do with the Federal Reserve and the Treasury and him doing something, but the Treasury is basically the Federal Reserve. Like, it's not a big difference going on there, but I don't know. We'll see. Do I know if Hillary's being questioned in Congress? I think she's supposed to be questioned later this year. I think that's what Judicial Watch did. So I can't tell you if it's going to happen or not, but I think it's supposed to. Becky said, what's up, Becky? Becky said, love your thoughts. I just got out of the hospital surgery. I bought my own regular meds and took them. Well, God bless you, Becky. Hopefully you heal up soon. Prayers for you, and drink some water as well. Torin said, this Canadian's jealous you have a leader in the U.S. with some balls. Oh, for sure. God bless you in Canada. Oh, Canada, Trudeau will lead you down. That's all I know. Is that how it goes or no? Chad said, do you think we'll ever go back to the gold standard? No, 0 chance. That's probably never going to happen. I can't say 0 chance, but probably like a 1% chance. They're more going to switch to like digital crypto stuff is a lot more likely than gold standard. Someone said the alien invasion will probably be during the questioning. I don't know if you guys saw in New York City, but there was this huge light. It was very godlike. There was a big light in New York. I saw pictures. And my buddy in New Jersey, New York, told me that he saw it as well driving into New York. I was like, oh, word? Someone said, I wonder if God kept a scoreboard for all of these lies. I hope so. Repent. Repent. God, I'm sorry out here. It's a crazy world. You know, I made some mistakes, but I'm trying to be righteous. I'm trying to lead the people towards success, but let me know. Oh, Canada, Trudeau will fail your country. Someone said vitamin D. Yeah, I can't talk about vitamin D because that gets censored on YouTube. Susan Wojcicki's like, no, that's not good. Vitamin D is not good. It's good to cancel everything. And you're like, lady, what's wrong? I was trying to look for it. I have a YouTube plaque. Y'all want to see it? I don't know where it is. I can't find it. But I got a YouTube plaque that says I got 100,000 supporters. Or I'm sorry, 100,000 subscribers. And she wrote me a letter, and I ripped it up. I was like, I don't want to read your letter, woman. Not that there's anything wrong with being a woman. It has nothing to do with that. It's not her gender. It's more her censorship. Let me read this. April said, hashtag save the children. Press won't cover the war and human trafficking. POTUS is big on it. Yeah, it's unfortunate because what the press does is they smear anybody who talks about it. That lady in Colorado, they're like, she supported this conspiracy theory. But it's like, I don't agree with everybody that pushes certain things, and I don't agree with everything they say. However, what is the theory? What are people talking about? Even if you disagree with the direction they're going with it, they're talking about human trafficking, and it's a real thing. It's been on Dr. Phil. Ashton Kutcher talks about it. Trump has made Human Trafficking Awareness Month a month. He's cracked down on hundreds upon thousands of people. ICE works on that as well. It's really happening. So, yeah, human trafficking is something they don't talk about it at all, and they just act like it's not real. And the people who talk about it, they just constantly smear them. But that's how you know they're lying. They could say, I don't like this conspiracy theory, but we're going to work on human trafficking. They don't say that. They say, that's a conspiracy theory. It's kooky. But it's like, I could Google it right now. Ready? Google. Just say, like, human trafficking, world, money. It's right here. Ready? This is right on Forbes. It says the business of human trafficking, the motive of traffickers, regardless of the type of human trafficking, is clear money. Annually, the business of human trafficking globally generates an estimated $150 billion in profits, according to the ILO. It's right in Forbes magazine, but they never talk about it. Isn't that weird? They just say, these crazy Trump supporters, how dare that they talk about it? This lady is a theorist. And it's like, you don't have to agree with everything that they're saying, but the fact that they never talk about it and they constantly undermine what's going on at the border, very suspicious, but we know that. my shoulders look real. Guys, I don't know if you mind, but I'm gonna just get jacked. Like I'm about to put on like 30 pounds of muscle mass and just be huge. Then you see me in 2 months, I'm just gonna be walking like I won't even walk straight because my muscles are gonna be so big. I hope you guys don't mind, but that's just what's gonna happen. Someone said it's the #1 business in the world. Yeah, maybe not the #1 business, but it's probably, I mean, $150 billion is a lot of money. Probably the #1 business in the world is probably the banking system. They probably make a lot or just have a lot of money. They have all the money. Someone said, how do we get Trump elected again? I think you do it by voting and having reasonable arguments or having, compelling truth. You don't do it with anger. A lot of people are angry or hateful. That's not how you get Trump elected, because you're reinforcing the negative stereotype that people have for Trump supporters. That's the thing. Even with like certain communities, ethnic and stuff, the way you break the stereotype is by showing people that it's not true. You don't just keep doing what they say you're not going to do. Like everyone's getting mad. They're like, oh, I'll attack you. It's like, well, that's what the stereotype is. So if you just keep attacking people, you're not proving them wrong. Like people like Burgess Owens or, like just people that are stand-up citizens, like that's what changes it. So like if you're Asian and you want people to say, stop talking about your driving, you have to be a great driver. Then you be a NASCAR driver, and then you could be like, who told, that's how you beat stereotypes. It's like Jeremy Lin. They told him he couldn't play basketball. They're like, you're too short. He ended up being an NBA player. That's how you break a stereotype. You can't just censor everybody for saying it. But back to the point. What were we talking about? I forget. I gotta go up. I lost my point. Oh, getting Trump to win. You can't play the victim and say, oh, everybody hates me because I like Trump. Give them a compelling argument. Don't be the stereotypical Trump supporter that they want you to be. Don't be angry. Don't be hateful. Be kind. Be nice. Show people good arguments and discussions about it. And then that's how you win. That's how you can convince people. But that's why I get so critical sometimes of the Republican Party is because, one, the whole party needs a lot of work, let's be honest. But two, you only have power, in my opinion, when you speak the truth. If I spoke the truth 70% of the time, but 30% of the time I'm just lying and making up stuff, and then people are telling me that and I won't listen, it defeats the whole purpose of what I'm doing. My power comes from my truth. That's what makes me strong. I don't have money. I don't have all this stuff that they have. I don't have a big operation. So that's what you need to lead with. Truth and good discussions, because that's why I criticize sometimes the Kirks and the Shapiros, no disrespect. I like what they do. But if you start lying or you start censoring speech or you start lying about hate speech, you lose your power. Your power is in the facts. Your power is in the truth. You can't shift from that or else, and that's why I get so critical too on people posting fake posts and this and that. You don't need to post fake posts. There's so much real stuff going on. You can't get fooled that easy because then they're going to hone in on you posting something fake and being like, see, they're a phony. And you get what I'm saying? So that's how. How can we be sure the Democrats don't cheat? I would think Trump and, the GOP have to think about that. And the Democrats have to make sure the Republicans don't cheat. So hopefully they're on it and figure out a way to... I mean, they record everything we do. So can't they put a camera or really watch these people? I mean, there's cameras all over the place. There's cameras at every 7-Eleven. I mean, they should have a federal agent there, somebody that watches over it. They should for sure protect our election. For sure. Do I think there's a realistic chance California can be flipped? I actually do. I think there's a huge chance it could be flipped if nobody cheated and everybody really voted. But it's a long shot, but I think it's possible. Just looking at the votes in the primary, I think it's possible. It would have to be everybody voting, a huge mindset shift, and then no cheating. But we'll see. Someone said, when did Ben Shapiro lie? I'm not trying to make this all about Ben Shapiro. I think he's a nice guy. I think he does good work a lot. I'm just saying him and Charlie Kirk, they claim that they stand up for free speech and they're against the word hate speech, but they constantly call others anti-Semitic and they believe in speech laws and regulations for them. Ben Shapiro thinks you're not allowed to say that dual loyalty is an anti-Semitic trope. It's a fact that there's people who have dual loyalty to different countries, whether it's Jewish, Hispanic, white, black, Mexican, Asian, African. People in this world, some people are loyal to America, others are not. Some politicians are loyal to other countries. So Ben Shapiro thinks it's hate speech and anti-Semitism to suggest any Jewish American has dual loyalty to Israel. The reason he says that is because it's a fact, and for some reason he doesn't believe in free speech or accountability when it comes to his ethnicity, which is a huge red flag, and he doesn't tell people that. He just blacklists and censors and smears anybody who talks about stuff on the right wing that he doesn't want to talk about. So to me, that's, they did that back in 2019, and they did a concerted effort on the right wing to censor and silence and destroy people's character, anyone who questioned them. Michelle Malkin was one of them. Asian woman, married to a Jewish man, has been consistently fighting for conservative values for 20 years. They called her an anti-Semite and a Holocaust denier because she agreed with one person on a topic that she was right about. It's like they're very sneaky. It's like Lindsey Graham, you know? You think Lindsey Graham's your friend, he's saying all the stuff you agree with, and then he pulls a fast one on Trump, you know? I'm not trying to convince people. It's like, I know a lot of people have emotional feelings about certain people, but it's just the truth, and you'll figure it out eventually. Someone said we need to end dual citizenship in our houses of legislation. Well, don't say that. They'll say that that's hate speech, because obviously our politicians have loyalties all over the place, to other countries, to other regimes, to pharmacy industry, to military. There's dual loyalties all over the place, but if you say it in the wrong way, they'll say it's hate speech, so watch your mouth. Someone said they destroyed Milo Yiannopoulos. Correct. It was not the left wing that destroyed Milo, it was the right wing, and maybe a little bit himself, but there's a lot of sneakiness going on, but it's all good. I don't want to make this whole thing about that. I talk about it enough. People get upset. Someone said hate speech and political correctness was created to silence speech. Exactly. Someone said they got booted. I heard that a few times. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's the problem with the right wing, though, is the left wing does political correctness, hate speech, all these words, they constantly use them, racism, sexism, blah, blah, blah. They overuse those words. Those words are created to censor speech. So you're supposed to have a right wing that fights against that, correct? Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Trump, Ted Cruz, these are supposed to be the warriors of free speech. The problem is that people don't want to admit, because they like all these people, and even I like all those people too, is that they're not actually doing it. And I explained it last year, and people freaked out, but they're saying they're fighting for free speech and against hate speech, but they only do that when they agree with somebody. Anytime they disagree with somebody on the right wing, not anytime, but a lot of times, they call them hate speech. Ted Cruz and Trump are behind anti-Semitism bills. Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk blacklist people from their events. They'll let a far left-wing, person that hates them into an event faster than they'll let somebody on the right wing in that they don't like. They censor their own people. They exaggerate about words. So how are you fighting for free speech against political correctness when you do the same thing when it's politically or socially or ethnically convenient for you? You can't do it. There's a reason this country is going down the tubes. It's because of this. The right wing is not really the right wing. I said it last year and people didn't want to hear it. Look what happened during the COVID shutdowns. Where was the right wing? Nowhere to be found. Where were they standing up for the Constitution? Barely was there, One person stood against the $1 trillion bill, Thomas Massey, and he got eviscerated by Trump. So, there's a lot to be desired. I'm not trying to knock everybody right now, but you can't fight political correctness and hate speech by calling everybody else that you don't like racist and anti-Semitic and saying it's hate speech. It doesn't work that way. That's not how political correctness works, and that's why we lose. It's because the left wing drags the left further left, and the left wing has power over the right wing. They always drag the right wing left, and they play their games, and they're trying to please them. If it's right, please them, but if it's wrong, you can't do that. You can, but it's going to lead to more censorship. Someone said, how do they square that logically? Well, that's what I'm trying to say is when the left wing can't logically square it, they censor people. Ben and Charlie do the same thing. There is no logical justification for what they're doing. So they don't debate people on it, and they don't talk about it, and they don't allow people to come to their events and ask questions. They blacklist them and then talk trash about them. There is no logical explanation for it. That's why they blacklist and censor and use words like racist and anti-Semitic. They do the same thing the left wing does when they can't logically win an argument. They just go on stage and tell you they're being logical after they did it and you never heard about it because they make sure you don't hear about it. All the right-wing media works together to do hit pieces on people. Michelle Malkin spoke against them, and she lost a gig she had for years with YAF, Young Americans for Liberty or whatever. These people are, there's a lot of sneakiness going on, but to each their own. Someone said, no, you're right, I've been angry about it. Don't be angry. Don't be angry about it. Just be aware. Someone said, Joe Jorgensen. I'm not a Joe Jorgensen fan, but I'll check out an interview with her. Nicole said, you can't fight racism with racism. No, you can't fight racism with racism. You can't fight political correctness with political correctness. You can't fight hate speech by demonizing things hate speech. You can't stop the left wing from overusing the term racist and xenophobic. The right wing uses the term anti-Semitic loosely, like the left wing uses the term racist and sexist and xenophobic. It's the same dynamic. They just don't tell you they're doing it. I'm not for racism. I'm not for sexism. I'm not for xenophobia. I'm not for anti-Semitism. I don't believe in hate, but I don't exaggerate about any of those words. The right wing exaggerates about anti-Semitism the same way the left wing exaggerates about racism and sexism. They use those words to censor speech and destroy their political opponents and make sure that you don't hear who they are. And a lot of the people who go deeper than them, you don't even know their names because they're not allowed on Apple. Their apps are not allowed. Gab made Parler before Parler. Parler is the right-wing establishment. That's why it's allowed. Gab was the right-wing app, but it wasn't made by the establishment. Where is Gab? Gab is not even allowed on Apple apps. They've gotten censored and smeared. So a lot of the realist people, and I don't even have Gab. I've never even created an account. I'm just saying. So a lot of the people you've never even heard of because they're banning books. Somebody I follow on Twitter, they banned all his books on Amazon. He's not even allowed to sell his books on Amazon. So there's a dual party kind of effort to funnel people towards certain voices and certain structures. And it's all good, to each their own, but I just can't stand censorship, And I think the reason they get away with so much censorship is because there really is no party or no big right-wing establishment that really fights against it. And someone said, I'm sick of isms. Exactly. It shuts the conversation down completely. And you can't logically debate it then. And you're not allowed to. So we talked about it yesterday as well. Someone said, I like how the left made all these groups because Trump got elected. Yeah, but also Black Lives Matter was created last election. It was created during Obama's term. So Black Lives Matter is not during Trump. What do I think of Crowder? He's a funny guy. I'm not a hateful person. I don't like to bring others down. I don't like to gossip. I just really like the First Amendment, and I really believe in it, and I really am against political correctness and using the term hate speech. So that's really my only problem. It has nothing to do with their personality, their character, what they do, the work they do, the good work they do. I'm not here to talk bad about people. I'm just saying I have pretty much zero tolerance for people that say they're standing up for free speech but don't really. That's it. But Crowder's a funny guy. All right, I'm going to stay for 5 more minutes and I'm going to take off. God bless you, Robin. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Chris from Alaska, God bless you. Thank you. Ism, I, myself, and me. That's a good one. Our churches, I don't know what the churches are doing. They're letting them shut down. How many career leftists do you think will be unseated this year? I don't know. I don't really have a good grip. I know for sure it is true because, the polls just don't matter. Every poll, not every poll, but they're saying the far left weren't going to beat the establishment left, didn't happen. They're saying, the Trump candidates are going to, and then the other one wins. I don't know. The media and the polls don't have a grip on how people feel. So how good is the right wing going to do? I don't know. It could be a sweep. They could get swept. It could be a red wave, could be a blue wave. I feel like it's up for grabs. Thank you, Kira. Appreciate you. Anomaly, how can you be so cool? How can you be so cool with all this fiasco that's going on? Do you know something that we don't know? Alan, all right, I got a secret for you, Alan. Since you asked, I can't tell a lie. So what I know is, one, I saw all this happening, all the fiasco, and I got out of the city and I went to stay with my friend, and I avoided a lot of the chaos. And then I went back to the city and I moved out, and I moved somewhere that's a lot more peaceful. So I made a move, and I'm very happy that I got out of there. So that's one reason. Also, if you can't do anything about it, you can't stress about it. Even if an asteroid were to hit tomorrow and we were all to blow up, it's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, if you only had 24 hours, would you stress about it, or would you try to do what you love the most? So I think in general, regardless of what's happening, whether it turns around or it doesn't, whether it's a hard 10 years or not, I think you should make the most of it. So I always say, don't be afraid, don't be scared, be prepared. So you got to make moves accordingly. I'm content with myself because I made a move that was very smart and I feel great about it. So that's all you can do. And if you have to stay somewhere, you have to stay somewhere, you know. But it's either you could change it or you can't. So that's really all I know. I don't have any secret intel on what's going to happen. I just know that regardless of what happens, you know, I'm going to make the most of it. And I have faith in God. I have faith in myself. And I promise I will be here to do everything that I could do in my power to change what I could change for the better. And a lot of that starts with myself, and then it radiates to others. But, you know, I can only do so much. So I can't stress about what I can't do. You know, I can help a little bit, but I can't, you know, if you can't do it, you can't stress about it. That's all I know. So, you know, don't buy into the fear, don't buy into the hate. Find a nice little safe space for you, and try to have a good time. Denise, I hear you. We'll change it around, but it's gonna take a lot more than what's happening now. Ever thought of writing a book with all your thoughts? Yeah, Brenda, I have a little bit written. It's pretty short, but this next year, I'll probably work on a book and try to put it out. I do so much work. It's tough because most people, they don't do as many videos as I do. They don't do as live streams. I do more live streams than most people, and I do videos on top of that. Pretty much no one puts out more content than me, consistent, and I think it's pretty good with the editing I do. I do all my own editing, so it's tough to find time for other things. However, in a way, that's also an excuse. I've been, even though I work hard, I'm trying to better myself, and this year I'm trying to wake up earlier. I'm trying to, you know, utilize the day more. So in the next year, I should be able to launch a brand. I'm trying to launch products. I could just sell t-shirts, but I want to sell products I actually like that are actually good for people. T-shirts are cool, but I want to sell things that are like healthy, and I'm trying to figure out all this. So hopefully in the next year, I'll do all of that stuff, but book, products. But I can't sell a crappy product. I'm not going to sit here and sell you something trash. So I'm taking my time, because if I write a book, it's got to be good. And if I sell a product, it's got to be good. So, and if I partner with a company, they got to be good. I can't give you guys trash. Thank you, Laz. I appreciate you. Mary McGregor said, Republicans need to grow, player. Please, the world depends on you. Coming from Scotland. Mary, I feel the shift. The shift isn't what Tucker Carlson, I'm just going to say this before I leave. Tucker is doing what maybe only Trump did. Trump somehow united most of the Republican Party. He got a lot of people's respect. I'm not going to say it went away, but there's a lot left to be desired this year. However, Tucker Carlson, I see everybody likes him. A lot of progressives like him. The moderate right respects him. People who don't respect anyone respect him. The people that are far right, a lot of them respect Tucker Carlson. He's done something special because he's so honest that he's got the biggest ratings ever because he just tells the truth. And there's something to be said with that. So the future is what Tucker's saying. He's hard enough and honest enough for the people on the right wing who haven't got heard, but he's real enough and accurate enough for the people who are like moderates, for them to be like, yeah, he's telling the truth. We are slacking. You know, we're not doing that. So that's the future. I'm not saying Tucker himself, but that's the message that he's been really successful in, is like his last night's monologue was one of the best things I've seen. just 8 minutes of raw truth. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's perfect. It's like he's just calling out the GOP for everything they're doing wrong. And that is the future. It's not pandering to the left wing. That's not the future. It's not being soft and weak. That's not going to work. Most people don't want that. Why did Trump's candidate lose in Colorado to that girl who yelled at Beto? It's because people want someone strong. They don't want what the GOP is offering. Even when Trump endorses them, they don't win. People want fighters. People want, personalities. So that's the future. The Republican Party and the right wing can be saved. And I don't even like the Republican Party. It's got to be like a whole new wave of people. But that is the future, is like people who are not afraid. They're not mean. You don't have to be angry. But if you lead with righteousness, what did Tucker say? His plan was smarter than anything the GOP said. He had 3 plans. He said, the first thing he said, someone said Fox doesn't like that. Yeah, of course they don't like Tucker. He's too real. But he said one of them is everyone in this country should be treated based on equality. He's like, you shouldn't be treated based on your skin color. Everybody should have an opportunity, regardless. Like, that's the American dream. We're losing that because the left is taking it away and the right's allowing them to take it away. And Tucker's like, everyone wants to hear that. That is the popular stance. Everyone's afraid, and Trump doesn't know quite how to say it. Tucker knows how to say it, and he said it. It's like, that is the future. Don't throw all this jargon and make it yourself look mean, or just tell people we are the party of truth. We're the party of equality. We're not gonna judge you based on your sexuality or your skin color or your gender. That's gonna be the popular stance in the future. It's not gonna be this like left wing just doing too much social activism where they're discriminating themselves, or the right wing acting like it's secretly cool because they're afraid to seem mean. That is not popular. And I think Tucker is someone who gets that. God bless you guys. Someone said, do you think you need to prepare if Trump doesn't win? You need to prepare if Trump wins or loses. This cultural revolution is happening regardless. Every major company, it's too powerful. Even if Trump wins, there's only so much he can do. That's not a fear thing. I don't want people to be scared. Don't be scared, be prepared. So I think you should plan for the worst, hope for the best. Don't be scared, but be in a situation where if something happens, you're not going to feel that bad about it because you were ready. Just think about it. Keep your eyes peeled, and great things could happen, and I think they will. But I would say even if Trump wins, you're not going to magically be saved. There's a lot of work to be done, and it'll get done. And I promise I'll do my job and do as much as I can do. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'll be back soon. Supporters only live stream coming in the next week. If you're a supporter, check out the last secret posts that only supporters can see. Sorry, 99% of my posts are live for everyone. Every now and then we do a secret live stream or a post for supporters because they are, Facebook supporters, and it's just what we do there. So appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow or the next day, and as soon as I get my stuff set up, I'm still unpacking. I'm still doing all this stuff, but I'm super happy, and I'm going to build my dream studio myself, which sucks because I'm not really that handy, but I'm learning, and I just got to put a bunch of crap together. But I'm going to build a nice studio, and hopefully the quality just keeps going up like it has over the last year. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for making it possible, and I'll be back soon.